to speak about branding yourself both in print and online. So today we're going to talk about both of those things. In print through magazines, newspapers, direct mail, and print brochures. And then online we've got websites, banner ads, social media, and email newsletters or blasts. So to start with, for in print, we're going to go through the advantages and disadvantages. So advantages, basically you have something that sticks around for a while, so somebody picks it up out of the mail, it sits around on your coffee table, that type of thing. So it's not maybe a one-time read, it's something that somebody keeps around and reads more often. Also, people are subscribing because they're interested. So it's a piece of material that somebody has bought a subscription for, that they're interested in reading for a variety of reasons, whether it be advertising or reader stories or management articles, that type of thing. So in other words, they're interested in your product. So more of a targeted audience. It's maybe a smaller number of viewing than, say, social media, for example, but it is a more qualified lead of people interested in what you are actually advertising. So in Cosmo's case, we did a reader poll in 2012, and according to that poll, there was 3 people in each household reading our magazine. So that means that obviously we're able to target different ages, interests, and genders. So now some of the disadvantages is an ad is effective sometimes for a shorter window, especially if somebody's advertising, say, a sales consignment or a specific event, that it may not be applicable between issues, especially if you're not like on a monthly publication. Also, the dollar cost most of the time is more than, say, online advertising. So what we consider effective advertising, so just some points on how to achieve effective advertising. First of all, you need to decide on what your goals are. Selling cattle, embryos, or inviting people to visit your farm, or come to your website to see it if it's new or if it's old and you're trying to promote it, or promoting your name and your brand. We always try to encourage everybody when they're advertising, especially in print, to advertise. If you're advertising for sale, also advertise for something else at your farm, whether you're selling embryos or you're promoting something else. So use it to your best advantage. Also establish your brand and follow it through in all of your advertising areas. So whether it be through your website, logos, imprint, the colors you use. So here's an example of a consistent look for your brand. So this is a Facebook header that Cosmo designed for Sunview Holsteins. And then if you look through their website and their print adverts, also follow the same theme. So basically you have similar colors, and right away you look at it. If you saw it, say, in a magazine or a publication, you would know that that's their brand. So one other important thing is get your animals pictured. More angles provide you with more layout options when doing advertising. Pictures are important for both in print and online, whether it be website banners or your website. Candid photos are also a nice touch, as long as they're not overdone. And so you yourself can take a lot of photos, or you can purchase them from publications or other people that have taken them at shows for a pretty inexpensive cost. Your ad must reflect your goals and have a clear, concise message. So I think everybody knows that you yourself, as a breeder, know what you have to advertise and offer. Maybe you don't have the knowledge of how to get it across, but you yourself know what's the focus of your farm and what you're trying to achieve when it comes to marketing or selling an animal. So the best is always to provide your publication or the people doing your website with the information, your theme and title if you have one. Obviously designers know how to fancy it up, but if you have a general idea, it's always helpful, or some kind of title is always helpful as well. You get more for your money by providing the information that you feel is important when advertising your animal or your farm. For example, would you rather that your designer spent time trying to figure out what your ad copy needed to be by looking it up on Holstein Canada or Jersey Canada or whatever breed you are? Or would you rather them spend the extra time and put it into the ad layout and design, which is their strength? It's really no different when we're doing advertising. For the most part, if the ad copy is required, I would look up the ad copy, and because I'm more familiar with, say, the bulls, and I do a little bit more reading as far as, genomics, that type of thing, so I have a better feel for that. Whereas Ella, her strength lies in design. So, we always try to use your strength, but also use your publication or your designer's strength for the things that they're strong for. So here's just some sample ads of what we consider, good, catchy ads that really bring attention to what they're trying to achieve. So right away on both of these ads, you know that they're advertising a sale. The date's visible. Right away they're both tag sales. There's enough information for somebody to know what they're advertising, what they're trying to sell, that they will in turn look for more information on their website or wherever they're advertising at a later date for further information. And then as well, there's good contact information on the bottom so they can contact somebody about what they're doing. So they're catchy, they're easy to read, and right away they've got their statement across. In this case, you've got some great titles. Right away you see the logos as far as where the cattle are selling, which is important because right away they identify with that logo. Okay, that's going in that sale. In West Coast instance here, they're utilizing the ad for more than just one thing. They're advertising a new addition to their farm, as well as their sale consignment. On the other ad, the Cha-Ching ad, obviously it's a catchy name, and Ella was able to capitalize on the name and make it in a very effective ad, and basically saying, she's worth investing in. So when we talk about ads using candids and angles, this is another way that can be really effective and something that can really catch somebody's eye. In Allendale's case, obviously their daughter's done quite well this year with her heifer and in the All-American contest. And we had some images from World Dairy Expo that we were able to incorporate into the ad. A small amount of information underneath the heifer herself, which makes you want to move down and read what's in the line underneath the candids to find out a little bit more about Justine's year. In Lone Pine's case, obviously nice angles. Angle shots give you the opportunity to capitalize on showing what a cow's really like and having some different options rather than just the normal side shot. So when you're doing your ad and you're working with your publication, whether it be BC Holstein News or Cosmo or any other publication, it's very important to keep in mind that too much copy or too many photos can make it really look cluttered and quickly becomes very ineffective in getting your message across. Most people want to see the highlights unless you're advertising after a specific show achievement. So put your most important information on, like all BCs, all Westerns, all Canadians, all Americans, or your major show results from the year. A lot of people are page turners, so it's important to have something that's very quick and easy to read and a good catchy title. Otherwise, you'll flip on by. So some of the expectations and guidelines that we have as a publication, that when we're talking to advertisers about advertising, these are some of the things that we think are important. It's not necessarily always thought of the same way by a reader, and obviously we do get advertising camera-ready ads that don't follow this criteria, but this is just some of the things that we think in order to make a really effective ad for yourselves that are some of the guidelines that kind of need to be followed. So for a half page, we basically say maximum photos for a half page is 3 cutouts and or 2 box photos, and keeping your text to a minimum of 5 lines, including the animal's name. So in a line of text basically is the length of the cow's name, or 4 to 5 words per line. That's kind of the status quo. Maximum photos for a full page is 4 cutouts and 6 box photos, with no more than 4 lines of text. And of course the same length of lines applies. I'm not saying we've never done more than 4, but it really makes the cows very small, so you have to take that into consideration because you are trying to make your cows look as good as possible. So by making them tiny, you're not doing them any justice. Landscape ads we feel are never as effective. And I mean, when you think about it, when you hold a magazine and then you've got to turn it to view the ad. So for us, we typically discourage landscape. There's lots of guys that still do landscape. And if you want to cut out a larger number of cows, like 5 to 7, then you pretty much have to do a landscape ad. You don't really have you can't put them on a full page in a portrait style. So basically we say the maximum cutouts for a full page landscape is about 7, otherwise they're going to be like tiny matchbox size. And this is just an example of lines of text. So that's what I say when I'm talking about the number of words across. That's about generally, and even the 4th line is a little bit long in this case. We might have to wrap to a 2nd line. So now I'm going to talk through some ads that have some issues, just to go over some ideas and what we feel can be improved on. So in this top ad, you've got 3 cows across. Right away, the headline as well as the farm name font is very difficult to read. And as well as there's so much info underneath those cows that you just go, I'm not going to read it. It's just too much there. So, and then you've got even more text underneath. So right away your message gets lost just because there's too much information there. You basically see the cows' names, and that's really about all you see on the ad, other than the title. Now in the second ad, very distracting. The tree, while is a nice touch, cows generally don't float in trees, and they don't walk on water. So we always, we always make sure that our cows are standing on the ground. I know that we do take photos and, it's different than just taking a pasture shot, but they still do stand on the ground. And then, of course, the text is obviously hard to read because it's just too busy. There's too much going on. and even the title is hard to read because it blends in with the background. So now I'm going to turn you over to the ad professional.
Okay. All right, so and just to let everybody know that the ad on the previous page that we did, I just did those up. Those aren't some of these ads from our magazine. We're trashing them, like, just so you know. So don't be looking for them in our magazine because you won't find them. And so what I've done is I've taken these ads and then I just, how I would do it. So the top ad, it's the same red background. I've added you can't really probably see it from there, but it's a texture. I just put a textured background on it that's overlaid, tightened up the text, removed one of the photos. It's just too many if you're going to have a lot of text. You can have 3 box photos on there, but it really takes away from the ad. I mean, the cows are our focus, and I guess I'm a photographer too, so you know, the photos should be your focus. That's what you're selling. So you want to have them big enough so that people can see them and appreciate them for what they are. So for myself, I would rather have 2 box pictures, or you could have done 3 cutouts on that page and still kept the text to a minimum. That gives you more room to put the text under with just 2 box photos, and you can really fill the page with them. I changed the headline color. The yellow on the red was a bit hurtful to the eyes, and just this stands out a lot better. And then the farm name I've separated at the bottom and just aligned everything a little bit better. The one underneath is exactly the same background that we have on the page before. If I can go back to it. It is the same background. I've just faded it back, I've made it darker, I've made the text easier to read, and I got rid of, I mean, if you have one great big picture and a bunch of tiny pictures, obviously your focus is on that one big photo, so let's use it. Or the same thing, you could have done some smaller box photos if you wanted to do that, but to have, or you could still put, you know, a couple box photos in there and just tighten the text up and make that smaller. But you want it to be readable, because you want people to be able to read it, not having to, you know, really look at the ad to see what's going on. And then we have an ad that I actually did for Allendale, and with the 4 pictures. So and we did, you know, that's your other option. You make it a bigger ad. Sometimes it's more money, but sometimes it's more effective too. So, and we're not perfect all the time too. I know I was looking at it this morning thinking, I can't really read that, the red type that's underneath in the middle there that is highlighting what their, I think it was their All-American nominations, and whether it's because it's on the screen or maybe it printed that way, hopefully not quite that bad, but we all make mistakes, and you know, whenever I go through our magazine, I think, oh, what was I doing there? And there's always room for improvement no matter what you do. So, Kristen had asked us just to touch on breeder brochures and if we think it's an effective form of advertising. And I think that it is nice, you know, a lot of times, especially a breeder brochure, I think if there's a convention going on or there's an event and people are coming to your farm, sometimes it's nice for them to have something to reference when they go home. They have a, you know, you might have your Facebook page, your website on there, and just general information about your farm or your cow family. So you can do the trifold, or you can do a 1-page, or you can even do an ad overrun. Lots of magazines will offer an ad overrun when you do a full-page ad. You can do a single one-sided extra copies of that ad. So if you were advertising, say, for the convention this year and you had a full page, it's another $75, I think, for the first 100, and then that's a very inexpensive way of getting some extra copies to have to hand out. And the prices vary anywhere from $500 to $1,000 and up, depending on the number of copies you're doing, and you know, whether or not it's one of those things you want to plan ahead, because when you don't, then it's extra shipping costs and everything else to get them to you in a timely manner. Breeder websites. So we're going to go on to the online portion. Whoops.
Oh, sorry.
What? So we're on to our online portion of our presentation, and just talking about breeder websites and the advantages. And once again, it's kind of similar to in-print advertising in a magazine. They're coming to your website. We were talking about this with Dan Brady this morning. They're coming to your website because they're interested in you. They're interested. They've seen your Facebook page, they've seen your ad, and you've maybe advertised your website, and so they're coming to your website. So they're interested in what you're selling. They're interested in the cows that you have. And once you have your site set up, it's a relatively inexpensive form of yearly advertising. The other great thing about a website is if you have proper analytics installed, and I recommend Google Analytics for anybody who's interested in that sort of thing. You can get all the demographics, you know what countries are visiting your page, you know the age groups, you know if they're using a phone or a tablet or a desktop to access your website. So you have all that information right at your fingertips when you have proper analytics installed on your website. And you'll also know where they're coming, so if they're coming from Facebook or Twitter, or they're coming from a link somewhere else, or you'll know where the traffic's coming from, if they're searching for you, if they come directly to your site, that sort of thing. Disadvantages: if you don't update your website, you're not utilizing your marketing dollars, because it's a waste of time if you don't update it. A lot of people build a site, they're excited to have it, and they update it for a little while, and then it doesn't get done. And if you want people to keep coming back, you need to update it. Make the most of your website. Brand your website the same as we do. We talked about this before, so I won't go over it again, but just have the look the same, so it looks the same as your imprint or your Facebook page, and it's the same as print advertising. We want to keep it clean and professional and easy to navigate, so people don't have to look for stuff, so they're not trying to figure out where they're going and what they're doing. You can do a one-page website, and we don't recommend it. It's not as effective because with a website that's got menu items and stuff, people can look for stuff. You know, they can go to the home page, they can go to the contact page. With a one-page website, you're scrolling and scrolling, and if you're adding new information and stuff all the time, you might not have an archive to go back to old news or old information, and so people just have to scroll and scroll. It's not always the easiest way to find, so we don't really recommend it. And we do recommend, because of all the mobile activity these days, like a lot of people, I can't remember, I should have wrote down I think over half of Canadians have a mobile phone, so and access the internet that way. So if you are building a site, you want people to be able to access it on their phone effectively or on a tablet, and you either want to do a mobile site or a responsive site. And I'm just, because I talk about that a little bit, and that's the kind of sites that we're building now for the breeder websites we're building. So I just want to show you what a responsive site is and how you can tell if a site is responsive. So one of the sites that we built is Rocky Mountain Holsteins. And if you are on a website, and if you drag the corner of the site back and forth, it readjusts. So it's one website, all the same information is on there. You don't have to update, a different site, or you don't lose information, because sometimes when a site's for mobile, it'll kick a bunch of the information out because there's no room for it to load. But we try to build our sites so that they load fast, so people can look at them, and you don't have to, because you go to some sites and you go in like this on your tablet or your phone to try to zoom in stuff. But this is how it would look on the phone. So if you go to any of those sites, it will readjust. And it doesn't have to be a responsive site. A mobile site is fine, like something just mobile friendly that's easy to view. But responsive is really the way a lot of the websites are going. So just a tip from us. Thanks, Kristen. And just like I talked about, you need to update it on a regular basis, at least once a month. And more often is better. If you can do it once a week, it's great if you can. A lot of people will update their Facebook pages, but not their websites, and you really need to keep your website updated, because it's your online home. That's where, if people are looking for information and they're probably going to remember your website name before they're going to remember your Facebook page, for the most part, and not always, but it certainly makes a difference. We talked about this a little bit already, just professional pictures and angles as well. Reviews using their barn photo to showcase their site. Duckets have a graphic that somebody else had actually made for them that we use on their site that that has a bunch of different angles and stuff, and it makes your site more attractive. A good way for, once you do have your website built, is to utilize links off of other websites. There's Dairy Agenda, there's Holstein World, there's Cosmopolitan. You can increase traffic to your own site from sites that already have a lot of traffic, right? Especially if you're building a new site. It's an easy way to get, you update your site, it comes up on the home page of whatever site you have your link on, and they do a news release there, and maybe on social media that says, London site has been updated, Cedar Wall has updated their site, go and check it out. And it's a great way to drive traffic to your site. So, because people will typically go to a news site every day or every couple of days, but they may not come to a breeder site every day unless they're looking for something specific. Kristen also asked us to talk about if you want to do your own website hosting, and you can totally do that, and it's relatively inexpensive. You can go to a place like DreamHost, Bluehost. I have GoDaddy up there, but I don't actually recommend that one. But DreamHost or Bluehost are both really great hosting companies. You pay for your domain name, so that's yourfarmname.com, whatever it is. And then the hosting itself is anywhere from $7 to $25 a month, depending on your needs for storage and bandwidth. And bandwidth is just when people come to your site every time they download a photo or whatever. It's just how many times, so depending on how much traffic you have. But typically, for most farms, unless they're getting a ton of traffic, you're not, and it has to go up substantially before you really need to increase, or that cost would increase. A lot of them have website templates that you can build your own site just from the template. You add your own pictures, your information, or you can get other people to build your custom sites. And my mom has got her muck boots, and we were looking for somebody to build our muck boot site because it's an e-commerce site, so it's more money, but still there's lots of times, you know, they range quite expensive if you go to like one of the big website companies to get them, and they were quoting us anywhere from $7 to $10 grand to build that site. And that only included the build. That didn't include any updates, any changes, anything we wanted for the future. That was a one-time, they build it, and then you're on your own. So, cost to have Cosmo build your site. Well, actually, where are we at here? Slides are not the same as my sheets, so. No. For us to build your site, our site started about $1,800, and it includes your design, your setup, your hosting. We register your domain name, and we make sure that your domain name gets registered every year, because you have to keep registering every year. You register for like 3 years at a time. And it also includes an hour of updates every month. Somebody just has to give us the information. And then after that, it's $900 each year, and also includes the updates, the hosting, the domain registration, and also includes the link on our website, which if you don't build with us and you just want a link, and you can link from anywhere, it's $250 a year just to have a link on our homepage, so that when you update, we can try to get more traffic to your site. Okay, social media. How many people have a Facebook page for their farm? Come on. How many people are on Facebook? How many are on Twitter? Interesting. I thought it'd be more than that, actually. That is interesting. So there is a lot of people that do, they're like, well, we're going to build a Facebook page and solely have a Facebook page and not have a website. And there's some people that do it. River Valley Dairy, River Valley Jerseys in the U.S., they only have a Facebook page, and they do all of their business on there. And I think it is a great, for some people it works really well. And it's a low dollar outlay, so you don't have you don't put anything out. It's a great way to brand yourself as well, to drive, and that's what we use our Facebook page for. We have our Facebook page, and when we do updates and stuff, we use it to drive traffic to our website, because that's where we want to do business. We want to do business on our website. We want people to come there and subscribe, to look at the news, to see the banner ads and the links and the other breeders and stuff. The disadvantages are that you don't own it, and so your website, you can do whatever you want with it. Facebook owns Facebook, and sometimes it's really cluttered and hard to see stuff on it. Really hard to search information. If you put information up there from one week to the next, it's really hard to go back and find anything on there, where typically a website is more structured and somebody can go back and find out, something past news on your website. And it's really hard to know who's looking at your Facebook page. It gives you the demographics and stuff. There is graphs and information and statistics, but it's really hard to really know who is looking at your page and whether or not they're actually interested in your business. They might just be your aunts, friends, brothers, whoever that saw a picture that they liked, and then they went and looked at your Facebook page. You really don't know if it's a qualified lead or somebody who's going to be actually beneficial to your business. But it is a great way to drive traffic. It's a great way to get your brand out there, and it's a great way to connect with people. And there's lots of people that do a lot of business selling embryos and other stuff on Facebook. For Cosmopolitan, for ourselves, we use it, like I said, just solely to drive traffic to our site. That's the purpose of it for us. So if you are interested in setting up a Facebook page, it's the same thing. Add some extra people to your Facebook page, so that more than just yourself, you can add extra administrators, so other people can update it. Add custom graphics, logos. Make sure you put that on there so they know right away that that's where they're at. They're at the Cedar Wall Facebook page. They've got their logo on there in the little logo space. They've got a graphic or something on there at the top that you know that that's where you are. make sure you assign a custom URL, which is the address. So like on Cosmo, and you have to get so many likes before you can do that. It's not that many anymore. So once you set up your Facebook fan page, in your administration, and if you search it, you can easily find it, but set up a custom URL or address. So ours is facebook.com/Cosmo. We set it up that way because otherwise it's a big long numbered URL on there, so it makes it easier to search. You can set up your page, you can get somebody else to set up for you and just do updates, or you can just get somebody to do some custom graphics and stuff for you as well. Website advertising, we discussed this before, just using other websites to gain leverage, to bring traffic to your website so that so you're getting more traffic. A lot of people come to like our site for a reason. They come there to look at news, or you can do a banner ad on lots of different sites offer banner ads, so that you can, same thing, you're going to drive traffic back to your own site. And we've kind of talked about most of this too, like even a lot of breeders that we're familiar with use other sites to leverage traffic, like Blondin, Cedar Wall, just to name a few. They have links with other sites to bring traffic back to their site. So they do an update, they let them know, they post it, and hopefully it gets site traffic back to their site. And we use it too. We advertise other places because we're always trying to grow our following and grow the people that are the traffic to our site. So we advertise quite a few different places throughout the year, whether it's in print, whether it's online. There's lots of different places that we advertise. And this is just showing you the breeder links are on the home page here for Cosmo. So anybody, you can go right there and right away when somebody comes to our news page, they can right away see who's updated and when their website is updated. So, and then all the banner ads, those are also opportunities for people to advertise. So if they have a sale consignment or something that's relatively inexpensive, it's timely and it's easy to, you can drive it to your website or to the catalog, or just put information up there. And if you have a banner ad, you can get a page on our site for that time period that gives the information about it. So they don't even have to leave our site if you don't have your own site. So I've just been talking a lot about referral traffic and about social media. And these are just some stats from some different sites of ours, from ones like A, B, C, D. So from the sites that are, I think I did it, yeah, I don't know if I did it in order of people who update. Well, website A is definitely one of our sites that hosts with Cosmo that updates the most often. And this is traffic data for January. Okay, so in January, 1,321 visits. Of that, almost half was referral traffic. So coming from other websites, from website links. Organic search, that's just you go into Google, you're putting their farmname.com or farm name into Google, and it's coming up. Direct, they know the address, they've obviously done a good job of advertising it for that many people to go directly to their site. Social is the traffic's coming from Facebook or Twitter or whatever social media they're using. And it's just the same for the others. I just put it up there so you can see, like, somebody who's not as active on Facebook, their socials only one. Website D, their social, or sorry, I guess I've got them. I got them right. And then website D, their socials a lot more. They're a lot more active on Facebook. Less of theirs is, they're still getting a lot from referral. You can see for these breeder websites, a lot of their traffic comes from referral traffic. So it's a good way to leverage your site. And these are Cosmo stats for 2013. Typically for the last, since we built our site, we pretty much double our traffic year over year, month over month. So from January this year to January last year, we pretty much have doubled our traffic every year. And it's just through advertising. It's through doing a lot of posting. And that's one of the things we were discussing this morning is Facebook. It's very inexpensive, but you have to, it's the same as your website. You have to be on it a lot sometimes to get the traffic. You still got to do regular posts and provide information. People want to know what's going on. So, and I think, yeah, our stats have changed for our likes and our Twitter followers are a little bit more today, but it's pretty much the same. So, any questions? Anything I didn't cover, Kristen, or anybody else that we didn't cover that you thought we should? And we're around later too, so if you have any questions about your, yep.
Yeah, what would you deem as the next step in social media, obviously?
Well, and actually, I have some stats here. It's kind of interesting because that's one of the reasons that Facebook is, they say that a lot of the younger generation, the teenagers, are now going to Instagram and Snapchat. I don't even know what Snapchat is, so I guess I gotta get on it. I am on Instagram, we are on Instagram. But they said since 2001, I did write some stats down this morning, because Facebook was 10 years old on the 4th of February. And the thing about the internet and social media now, especially, I think you have to have a presence on the web some way, somehow, because it has grown so much since they had some other stats about the internet. I should have written them down because it was really interesting to see. Just like one of the social media sites before Facebook was MySpace. But Facebook has, I mean, they absolutely steamrolled them for stats as far as moving forward. But the stats from a place called iStrategy Digilab, they said there's 25% fewer teens, this is in the US, use Facebook now than in 2001. So, I'm sorry, since 2011, Since 2011, 25% less. So we know, and I think it's that cool factor, right? People our age or my age and our parents and even our like my mom's on Facebook. You know, so the teenagers are they always want the next best thing too. So I think we are going to see a shift from Facebook. It's hard to say. They say by 2017 Facebook will see a huge decline. So I think that if you have an online presence, a Facebook page or a Twitter account and stuff is a great way to, like I said, that's what we try to do. And sometimes we post a lot more stuff on Facebook than maybe we should. We should put it on our website because, I mean, our website is our own. That's your online home, and you want people to always know. Facebook is just helping us build our brand. But social media, I don't know what's going to be the next big thing. If there'll be another, whether, you know, there could be another big network that comes out like Facebook, and people might get on that. So, any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for inviting us here. We really appreciate it.